welcome to week 1 of Body Meets Mind. My name is Shauna McKellar and I am going to be hosting the next 6 weeks of mental health education. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're having a great summer, and thank you to all of the parents who have signed up their children. I know this is going to be a great learning experience for everybody. As I said, my name is Miss Shauna and you are going to have the pleasure of meeting my little sidekick, Duke. You say hi, Dukies? Say hi. Duke is a little dog that we got last year. He brings us lots of joy. He's a handful, but he does love people. So you'll see him from time to time in our videos, and hopefully he will bring a smile to your face too. So today we are going to be talking about mental health. We're going to talk about what mental health is and what mental health isn't. And I want you to keep in mind that I'm going to be doing these workshops for children between the ages of 7 and 14. So the information that I share is going to be pretty basic. We're not going to get into a lot of detail. This is just very general knowledge along with some practical tips to help children and students in their journey of life by teaching them coping tools to have the best mental health possible. So the information is going to be a little bit general, but as the weeks progress, we'll get into more specifics in a very child-friendly manner. So for today, I'm going to be introducing to you my son and some of his friends. They're going to be asking me some questions about mental health to help direct our lesson for today. So stay tuned. If you have your journal, feel free to make some notes. You certainly don't have to, but hopefully you learned something today. If you have any questions, make sure you write those questions down, because I will be offering a booster session and check-in on week 7 where you'll have an opportunity to ask me questions live. Okay, guys? So hopefully lots of learning happens today, and I hope you're all having a great summer.
What is mental health?
So what a great question to start with. What is mental health? That's a very good question. Mental health on its own is a positive thing. Okay, so what I want you guys to remember is that when you hear the word mental health, don't necessarily assume that it's something bad. In fact, we all have mental health. And what mental health is, it's how we think, how we feel, and how we act, or the choices that we make. And when our mental health is good and strong, we tend to be making good choices, and we're acting in healthy ways. We're focusing, we're learning, we're taking learning risks, we're connected to other people, and we're able to handle the stresses in our life or the problems in our life. Okay, so mental health is good. We all have mental health, and it can be a very good thing. Mental health problems, however, are something a little bit different. And so what mental health problems look like is when we have trouble making good choices, when we have trouble making decisions or handling stress, and we're struggling with our feelings and our thoughts. So somebody who is experiencing a mental health problem might struggle with how they feel about themselves. They might feel very negatively about themselves. They might think that the future is hopeless. They might be extremely worried about going to school or about a hockey game. And those worries and thoughts and feelings can then impact their behavior or their actions in a very significant and negative way. So what that might look like for someone who's experiencing a mental health problem could be that they're so anxious about going to school, they don't go to school, or they get sick in the mornings before going to school, or they're so nervous about a basketball game or a hockey game that they can't leave the house to join their teammates. So somebody with a mental health problem is greatly impacted in their day-to-day functioning, and it can really rob them of joy in their life and cause them a lot of emotional pain. Mental health on its own, as I said, is a good thing and a positive thing, and we all have mental health.
What's the difference between a bad day and mental health problems?
So I would say that a bad day is something we all experience. Nobody has a perfect life. No one's day goes perfectly every single day. We have good days and bad days. When we're playing sports, we have good games and we have bad games. And that is true in life. We have ups and downs in life. And so a bad day is something we all experience. And somebody who is experiencing a mental health problem tends to have way more bad days. And those bad days stop them from doing things they love. So one example might be if somebody is feeling really sad and they're crying all the time and they don't feel a lot of joy in their life, what ends up happening if they have a mental health problem is that those feelings are there almost every day, and it probably stops them from doing things they enjoy, like spending time with friends or playing sports, or doing hobbies that once they really enjoyed doing. So a bad day is something we all experience, but a mental health problem is something that is like a bad day that happens very often, and it causes a lot of problems in somebody's day-to-day living.
Why do people have mental health problems?
The important thing to remember is that there is no one cause of mental illness or mental health problems. Mental health problems are often caused biologically, which means it has to do with the chemicals in your brain, and we often find that there's a family history of mental health difficulties when we're supporting somebody with mental health problems. So what that means is that often if we're working with kids who have anxiety, when we review the family history, we often find a parent or an extended family member or a sibling who has also experienced anxiety or experiencing anxiety. So there tends to be a biological predisposition to mental health problems, but we also know that mental health problems can be caused by stress, by trauma, and by abuse, and by distressing events in somebody's life. Okay, so there's no one cause, and so you could have somebody or two people that have the same diagnosis or the same set of struggles related to their mental health, but the cause could be very different.
Can people with mental health problems have a good life, good grades, and be successful?
So what a great question. And the answer is yes, that people with mental health problems can absolutely be successful at school and in life and with relationships and in the workplace. Just like when we're feeling really sick and we go to the doctor to feel better, or if we're having an upset stomach or not feeling great, we'll tell our parents. The important thing to remember about mental health is that we need to get help for our mental health if we're struggling, just like if we're struggling in any other way. So if someone is struggling with a lot of fears or worries or stress, if they get help with that from a doctor or a counselor or from medication, what ends up happening is they often start to feel better so they can be more successful at work or in their families or in their relationships or at school. So the important thing to remember is that we want to treat mental health like any other condition. And if there's a problem, we need to make sure we get help so we can feel better and be as successful as possible.
What are a few things that we can do to have good mental health?
I absolutely love this question because what we know from research is that there are so many amazing things and easy things that you can do to create good mental health and to feel good more days than not. So some of these things might include sleeping, getting lots of sleep at night, making sure you're not staying up all night long and sleeping your days away. Get on a schedule and try to get a good sleep pattern happening. Some other things that come to mind include healthy eating. So we're not going to say get rid of McDonald's and stop going to all of the fast food restaurants that you like, but try to have a balanced diet. Make sure you're not having fast food all the time. Maybe save it as a special treat, and make sure you're getting in the 5 food groups and eating healthy and drinking lots of water. Those are important. Physical activity and exercise is huge, and I know Lucy's going to be speaking about that in her sessions. Go for a bike ride. Go for a walk in the morning and a walk before bed. If you're old enough to go to the gym, go to the gym and work out when you can. Go rollerblading, go for a run. Try to get in some physical activity however you can. Some other things that come to mind include connecting with other people. Now, I know with COVID-19, it's kind of impacted our social life a little bit. But if you can Skype with people, FaceTime, call, text, chat, maybe even go for walks or bike rides with some friends who are healthy at a healthy distance, that's really important. Try to connect with your friends and loved ones every day. That's really, really important. Another thing that comes to mind is called self-care. So what self-care is a set of activities, or an activity in particular, that you enjoy doing that is good for you. Okay, so 2 things. It brings you joy and it's fun, and it's also good for your health. Okay, so we all have things that we enjoy, but maybe those things aren't always really good for us, or they won't necessarily prolong our life. And so what I want to challenge you to do is to think about what brings you joy and ask yourself, is this good for my health? Is it prolonging my health? And if so, create a self-care plan. And what that means is try to do that activity every day if you can. And I've got a great little video that my son has put together to talk to you a little bit more about what self-care can look like.
Self-care is doing something you love and that's good for you. For me, that's playing with my dog, swimming, and playing hockey.
Self-care for me is being outside in the sun, by the pool with my kids, my dog, and of course reading a great book. What does self-care look like for you?
What does good mental health look like?
So, what does good mental health look like? When somebody is feeling good and experiencing good mental health, they have the ability to focus and to learn. They have the ability to experience a wide variety of feelings, and they have the ability to handle or overcome stresses or life problems that creep up on a day-to-day basis. People who have good mental health are connecting with other people, maybe in different ways, but they're connected. They're not alone, and they're able to reach out for help, and they're also able to receive help as well. People who have good mental health generally have positive relationships at home or at work. They're able to reflect on their life, and they're able to accept constructive criticism. As I said earlier, though, nobody has good mental health and perfect days all of the time. We all might have a bad day now and then. We might have a day where our mental health isn't the best, and maybe we struggle now and then. And that doesn't mean that you have a significant mental health problem. It means that you're just coping with life as best you can, and you had a bad day. And that's perfectly normal. Everybody has a bad day now and then. Everyone can have a moment where their mental health isn't the greatest. And if you experience that every now and then, don't be alarmed, okay? But if you're having more good days than bad days, and you're coping more times than not, and you're making good decisions, and you're able to learn and problem solve and connect with others, then you're probably experiencing good mental health. To all of you watching this video, to all of the families and all of the parents, I wish you good mental health and lots of good days moving forward.
Just because you have a bad game or day doesn't mean you're a failure.
Be kind to everyone. You never know what's going on in their lives.
Do what you love, and you'll have joy.